What is up, my thrifty friends? Tabs here from the Urban Goddess Shop. Today's video is a work with me video. If you're new to my channel, this is where I chat your ear off and you get work done. We're going to talk about everything and anything reseller related, and I got some good topics today. If you're new, this is the logo you're looking for in the thumbnails. It's a WWM. Work with me, join the crew, join the fun, and we're going to get some stuff done. So if you're new, I'm a Canadian reseller. I'm a mom to 2 girls, a wife. I work part-time in a hospital pharmacy, and I like to sell used clothing. It's my jam. Here on YouTube, I share everything about my business and hopefully help other people build a side hustle where they're able to make some extra money. Today's topics, we got some good ones. We're going to cover the 1099K because I heard they're being sent out to everyone, what you need to know about them, sourcing brands that sell. I have a little blurb on that. Boho or Bohemian, we're going to cover what the poll was. Posh news. I have some more thoughts on A/B testing. We're going to talk about sell-through rate and its relationship with your sales goals, MagicScripter update, and a few other tidbits here and there. Okay, so we're going to jump into this. First, we're going to talk about life and business. So life-wise, things have been busy. Actually, I didn't pick up very many shifts last week. I only worked 1 shift in the hospital on Thursday. It was a 12-hour shift. Otherwise, I was really focusing on my business. They didn't actually call me in. There was a shift opportunity on Monday that was till midnight, and I texted Jeff and I was like, hey, they got a shift, but it's till midnight. And he's like, you don't work till midnight anymore. I'm like, I know. And I turned it down, but like hindsight, looking back, I should have just picked it up and that would have gave me my 2 days of work that I'm hoping for. But whatever, you live and you learn. C'est la vie. Next week, actually this week, because it's Monday today, if they phone me, I am going to work, even if it's till midnight. I don't care. I need my 2 days is what I'm shooting for. So yeah, I ended up having more time to work on my business, which was good. I had to clean my house. Like, this is just all monotonous stuff that we all do, but my house was kind of out of control. And yeah, I got some cleaning done. I started my podcast. So I am now putting these videos into audio podcast format. The only thing is, here is my little side note. They're going to be delayed. So they're probably going to be, I don't know, maybe 5 days delayed. And the reason being is that this is the platform where I'm being paid to make content. So obviously I want to try and maximize my content here first. And then if you want to listen to it on the go, you know, a couple days later or whatever, then it will be available in podcast format. But I have no, there's no monetary gain happening in the podcast world. So it's just more of another way for people to kind of find me, hear the content. And if you're on the go, I think that's the best part, is that if you are on the go and you can't watch the YouTube video, you know you can catch it in podcast format. So I just thought it would be a new venture. And I think hopefully, I don't think this year I'll be able to do it, but maybe next year I'll be able to do some like podcast specific content, maybe do some interviews with people, just some like roundtable chats. It'd be fun to do some like different stuff there, but I have to just like get the channel going, get steady content going on there, and then I will worry about that in the future. Future Tabitha will worry about that. But today, that's good enough. Okay, what else has been going on? Business-wise, sales were really good, and I did a what sold video, and I was like, sometimes I'm hard on myself. I'm like, it feels like sales are slow. They are a little bit slower than what I was hoping for, but like since I recorded the video, it's just like sales have fallen off. Like, I still get at least 1 sale a day, but the dollar value did not hit last week, and even this weekend, like just really slow. And that's part of what I'm going to talk about later on in the video, because I have some more thoughts as to what is going on. So yeah, we are going to cover that. Other than that, I don't feel like I have too much going on. It's like, it's been busy, right? And curling, Em had curling. So we were there on Wednesday. She did really good. She's on like a junior team for her high school. And it was a big learning year because none of them had curled before. So this was their first year. But it's, yeah, it was fun to watch. I don't know the rules. I thought she was doing pretty good. And then she told me the score and I was like, oh, but it looked like you were doing good. She was like, Mom, you have no idea what's going on. And I don't. I should probably read the rules and brush up on that a little. But yeah, that's it. We were at my father-in-law's working on our ambulance this weekend. Jeff built this like custom roof rack for our ambulance, and it's actually going to have a platform on top, and we could sit up there, enjoy the views. My youngest, Emeka, also wants to be able to camp up there. So when we're, if we take it to go mountain biking, she's going to pitch a tent on the roof. So it's a fair size. Like it's about half of the ambulance roof. So it's pretty big. And yeah, they kind of welded it all together. It's an aluminum frame, so it's a little bit finicky, but we're good. It's going to be rock guard, spray bombed, and then installed hopefully in a couple weeks when we're back out there. Okay, that is it. That's all I got going on in my personal life. It's a lot, but it's manageable. Let's just jump into the topics because I had to do some research for this week's video. And just so you guys know, I do spend probably 2 to 3 hours on the weekend kind of researching topics, getting my information, making sure I have links to the topics if there's information that I'm quoting. So it does take a little bit of time, and I always appreciate it when someone comments on a video saying like, thank you, I know this takes time and effort. It truly does. To do these videos lately, it's been taking some effort. On that note, I want to say thank you to everyone that reached out to me in last Monday's video when I kind of went off the rails talking about a comment, and it was actually multiple comments I had received, but whatever. I really appreciate it. Sometimes being on YouTube can be it's not lonely because we always chat in the comments, but sometimes comments are quieter than other times, and you're like, okay, I think I'm getting the message out, but like, am I really getting the message out? And you guys like truly lifted me up this week. You truly like carried me on your shoulders and lifted me up, and thank you so much. Yeah, I sometimes get caught up as well in emotions like we all do, and I am actually going to do my best to actually just delete comments and block people on my channel and move on, because like you guys said, they're not worth the effort. They don't deserve the time or the energy, and I need to just not let them get to me at all. And that's what they're trying to do. So there will be 0 responses now. I will be deleting their comment and blocking them. So if you want to come in here and put some negative stuff in my comments, go ahead, because you'll just be blocked. And that's going forward, because I can do that. It's my channel. I can do whatever I want here. I just want to say thank you so much for reaching out to me, for commenting, for just sharing how my channel has helped you, because that is the whole purpose of this channel. The whole purpose of this channel is to help others build a side hustle reselling and being able to make some extra money. And I always say, if I help one mom pay for a soccer lesson, one, person pay their rent, or one dad help pay a bill, like if I help one person have a few, $100, extra $200, extra $300 a month to pay for something that they need help with, I did my job. And that's the purpose of my videos, is to try and help other people create this extra income through reselling. And I mean, if you want to take it as your full-time income, go right ahead. I use it as extra, right? So if I can help someone else do it, that's my MO. And yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, everyone. That meant a lot to me, and you guys are so right. That's all I gotta say. You guys are so right. Okay, so let's go on to the first topic, and this only applies to US resellers. So the 1099-K is going through, and you should have received your forms by January 31st. So we're gonna go over this briefly. Although I 100%, I need to say this, you need to talk to your accountant. This is not tax advice. This is just the information that I picked up online that I was able to read through. And it's just some basic facts about the 1099. And yeah, I do recommend fill out your form, contact your accountant or whoever you're doing your taxes through. What is the 1099? If you haven't heard yet, and this is the first time, the 1099-K form is for payment card and third-party network transactions. It is an IRS form used to report credit, debit card transactions, and third-party network payments. I'm sorry, that is so wordy. I know it sounds funny when it's coming out of my mouth. So basically what they're saying is that if you're selling or processing through a third party, eBay would be a third party, Etsy, Depop, Poshmark, PayPal, Venmo, anything where they're processing a payment for you, you are going to be required to fill out this 1099 form and report it. And the third-party processor is also going to be submitting stuff. So the purpose of this is to ensure that individuals and business report all of their income for tax purposes. Basically, yeah, it's just people selling and not claiming the taxes on it or claiming it as income, right? I think the form is pretty straightforward, but there was a beware that I found, and it says, beware of this. If you use a credit or debit card reader or a third-party app such as PayPal in your business, you should avoid using it for non-business purposes. If you do, these payments will most likely be included with your other payments received for your business and show up on the form, the 1099-K. Unless the payment processor has a system for separate business and personal transactions. For example, if you split your costs with a family member, roommate, or other non-business acquaintance through a cost-sharing situation, you wouldn't want to use this business payment card reader to get paid for these items. The payment settlement entity likely wouldn't be able to differentiate the business payments from the non-business payments. These payments received for splitting costs with someone generally aren't considered taxable income. These are typically considered non-taxable payments and shouldn't be reported on your tax return as income. So that was just something to be aware of. I don't know if you can actually split the accounts, but you could open two separate, you could open one for your business and one for your personal use, and that would solve the problem. So next is like, what do you do with this, right? So I'm going to drop a link in the description on how to report the 1099-K. Please check it out. There are only a few more details that may impact your report, but I feel this is borderline tax advice. I am not going to be talking about it. Bottom line, chat with your accountant. I also want to thank Anna for sharing this information. She brought it to my attention. It was just a good thing to look up and share. So the link I'm going to share is from TurboTax, but really you could just Google this and I'm sure you'll get a ton of links. It's important that you are filling this form out and sending it in. So yeah, tax season is upon us, people. It is time for us to collect our receipts, get all our reports printed off, get our poop in a group basically for tax season for 2022. Okay, I had a question show up on a video and someone had asked, how do I find so many great brands? And I felt like this is a really good question because I do feel like I live in a special situation or like in a special city. The city I live in has about 220,000 people. It's a pretty small city. We don't have outlet stores. We don't have a Nordstrom. We have one shopping mall that's like a real shopping mall. And the best stores in it are basically Aritzia and Lululemon for people between the ages of like 18 to 35. And we actually just got an H&M store last year. And I have started to see more H&M, clothes showing up at the thrift stores, consignments, buy-sell trades, things like that. We don't have a Zara. We don't have a Nordstrom Rack. We don't have a Simon's. Like, I don't know. We don't have a Saks. Like, we don't have very much here in this city. So because it's so limited for shopping, I think these are just the stores that people have access to. Therefore, majority of people in the city are wearing those brands because those are the best stores we have. I think that also converts into why there's so much of it like locally in our thrift stores and also in our buy-sell trades and our consignment stores, things like that. It's just what is available locally. And also like just as a demographic for this area, it's definitely a lot of farm wealth. So there's a lot of students here that come from farming communities. It's just a different city. Like there's all different, social classes, but there is a lot of wealth as well in our city. So I think that plays into it. I did want to state though, like I do source in many cities, small towns, basically from like Winnipeg, which is like mid-Canada, to Fernie, which is BC, which would be Western. I thrift in a lot of different places. And no matter where I am, I find equally good items. So I think a lot of it is stepping out of your bubble, going to different stores, finding different ways. I also source online, like through Facebook Marketplace as we travel. If we're traveling through a city, I'll say like Medicine Hat, I may hop in there before, you know, an hour or two before we get there and look up a couple brands of things that I like to find. If there's something and someone's willing to meet me, you know, basically on the side of the highway, I will do a quick cash deal. Yeah, I am sourcing everywhere. So I do think there are good items everywhere. I just want to say I think it's finding different ways to source. So there, like, part of it is where I live. I am fortunate. There is good sourcing here. But all I wanted to say was that I source in other cities and I'm able to find things. It may not be the same items I'm finding here, but I can usually find things of value. So I want to kind of just go right back to, it's really about being resourceful, maybe having a little bit of capital to spend. I do spend up on a lot of items. I think spending more on a cost of goods requires a little bit more thoughtful thinking and solid knowledge on what is actually selling right now. I would say start with a couple items a week or a month that you're paying up for. It's a learning process. We all make mistakes. I've paid up for items and only made 10 bucks on them, and that's just part of the game. It's like, it's the learning, right? It's the make a mistake, learn from it, and hopefully you're not losing money off the item. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and then the better research you start to do. If you watched my top sales for 2022, my top 2 sales from last year, I actually didn't make very much money on. They weren't good buys. They were high dollar items, but I paid a lot of money for them. And then by the time Poshmark took their platform fees, it really didn't leave that much of a profit. So it's like, all I'm trying to say is that I make mistakes too, and it's a learning process. You do have to step out of your comfort zone sometimes and research the items. The biggest thing with that when you start to pay up is that you are researching the brand and the style, that you know how old is it, are people still looking for it, what are some current sales on it, and you can do this through Poshmark or eBay. I find eBay is like quite a bit more accurate. The dollar value can also be a little bit less there depending on the item. So yeah, you can use a combination of both, but if you do research on items and you're stepping out of your bubble and going to other stores besides maybe just your local Goodwill, I think you will start to find some more items. And I'm sure there's people that just live in bad areas where there really isn't a lot of stuff. There are also good stores in that area, and maybe you have access to like retail arbitrage. Maybe you can go to the outlets and get really good deals. I do not have access to that. You know, thrift and secondhand and consignments and buy sell trades, those are really my only option where I live. But yeah, I think there's lots of different ways. I do think, like I said, it's where I live. I have never been to a city where I couldn't find some good stuff. Next, okay, so I did a poll on Friday's video. If you haven't watched it, I'm gonna pop it up here. It's my what's sold. Part of it was like, do you use Boho or Bohemian? Because this is something I always question, because the style tag auto-populates on Poshmark as Bohemian, but I want to use Boho because I feel like Boho is more of a searchable style tag. So anywho, the majority of people picked Boho, which I think was kind of what I was anticipating. But one commenter said that they use Boho in the listing title and they use Bohemian in the style tag. And I really like this because I think even though most people said they use Boho as a style tag, I think Poshmark is pushing Bohemian as a style tag because it must be something to do with SEO. Like, I don't know the rules behind it, but I feel like there's probably a reason why they have that as a style tag. I think you can satisfy total SEO if you put Boho in your title. So I'm sure I'm making a bigger deal out of this than needs to be, but I know some people were like, let us know what you find out. And Boho is the most common, but I think what I'm going to do is do Boho in the title and keep doing Bohemian in the style tag and using the one that they recommend. But if you're selling it on other platforms, definitely I think Boho might be the one. I don't know. I'm still torn. All I'm saying is I am going to use Boho in my title and probably somewhere in the description, but I am going to style tag it as Bohemian. So that's what I came up with after the whole poll in the video. All right, moving along, we got some other news on Poshmark. Poshmark rolled out silent shows officially. If you did not see, they now have like a total separate, I mean, it's in the live show, but it's a total separate option to run a silent show. And I first spotted this in a Facebook group. Someone had mentioned it and they were like, oh my gosh, I just did a show and it let me do this. And I was like, oh my gosh, hold my coffee. I gotta check this out. So I actually hopped onto Posh and quickly created a silent show, added like 10 items in. And I was like trying to get it going because I was like, okay, well, where does it give me the option to run it as a silent show? And it didn't. So if you hopped into my show and you're like, what is Tab doing? I was trying to do a test show. But I ended the show because I couldn't figure it out, went back, updated the app. Oh my gosh, that's always the solution. The solution is, did you update your app? No, I didn't. Updated the app, went back in. When you go to do the show, it gives you an option to select silent show. And when you do that, hold on, let's see, oh yeah, there's a toggle that you can switch to silent show. Your show picture, like whatever you choose as the, I don't know, like the artwork or whatever that shows up on the show's page, that is going to be the background for the show until you start running your items. And then when you start pinning and running your items, it actually goes through your photos like a carousel. Like it just keeps flipping them and going through them. It will center them and there's like black on the bottom and the top, but it does go through them like a carousel. And yeah, I just thought that was so freaking cool. Like it actually was entertaining. I will say that it makes it entertaining. It also mutes your mic and turns off your camera. Like I don't even think you can turn them on during the silent show. Once you select that option, you are committed to a silent show. Yeah, and I thought it was cool. Now, you guys know where I stand on shows. They're a ton of fun to do. But business-wise, I'm not seeing that ROI on them. I do think this is going to give an option to a lot of people. And for anyone that thought, you know, live shows were going out the door or that silent shows weren't going to be a thing or that Poshmark was going to put an end to them, they're not. They're supporting them. They think this is a good idea. I don't know. I think, yeah, they're not my jam. I don't see myself doing silent shows all the time. You know, maybe one here or there, maybe just clear out inventory. But obviously there are people that this serves, and I think this is a better way to be running them than how people were running them. So this definitely is a solution. Now, fun fact time. I auctioned off 25 items. These are items that I felt would have a good sell-through rate regardless, and they were priced on the higher side. And when I auctioned them, I was auctioning them basically at like a sale price, like what I would send someone like a 30% offer, and not one item sold. Now, I was running them quick. I was running them on 30-second run times or whatever, or yeah, 30-second run times. And I also had a couple people say that when they tried to click on the listing, it would kick them out of the show, and then it would like kick them out to my closet, and then they would have to re-enter the show. So I don't know if that also played in, but no one like piped up and was like, hey, I want those pants, rerun them. So yeah, I was like, I know everyone's like, you know, the live shows are kind of turning into garage sales, and I think sometimes they are, like the prices are really low. But this is also why I just don't think they work for the items I sell. It's not that they don't work, because I do think there are people making money doing them. But for the items that I sell in my closet, these don't really work for me. And obviously no one liked my starting bids because I did not sell one item. And I think I had like 50, 60 people at one point in the show. So yeah. That's it. There are silent shows and no one likes my items. That's okay. You know what I like about silent shows is that when an item doesn't sell, you could just be like, meh, and you move on. But I feel like when you're doing a live show and you run something and you're like, look at this item, and no one places a bid, you're like, sad, and you take it, you hang it back up, and people can see, so you're like trying to be happy, and you're like, they don't like my item. Oh, yeah, that's what I liked about silent shows, is that I didn't feel like I took it as personally when no one wanted to bid on the items I had. I was just like, oh, well, this is the best deal I'm putting out there, and no one was feeling it. Okay, on the topic of Poshmark, I wanted to touch on A/B testing. And I've seen this question pop up in a couple chat forums online, mostly in Facebook groups, but I've seen it in a couple Facebook groups recently now. And everybody's questioning their businesses and what the heck is going on. I think there are a few factors that contribute to the activity on your closet, and we're going to discuss those after, but I do want to say that I feel like there is some form of testing going on. And this is just my opinion. I have to say that I don't have facts. I mean, they admitted to it last year, but I don't have, like, no one has said that they're still doing it this year, although we all know something is going on. It seems very obvious, and it's frustrating too. Yeah, I don't believe they stopped doing testing. I think there's still something going on in the background, and I don't know what they're testing. I honestly have no idea. I hope that they're fixing the search function and the infamous algorithm. But at this point, honestly, I try not to put too much energy into figuring out Posh's motives in that sense. I just really have no idea what's going on. I truly want nothing more than Posh to be how it was in 2021. I would love to just rewind a year. Let's go back to last January when things were great. But a lot of things have changed in that time, in the market, the economy. Yeah, a lot has changed. So now I want to also talk about the factors. I think there's a few factors that play into the activity, like good pictures, clear, well-lit items, showroom ready, basically steamed, delinted, you know what I mean? Looking in good condition. Desirable items, are you selling things that people are looking for? Pricing. I do think a lot of people filter by price, and they use those categories. And I'm sure there's other things that I'm not discussing in this video, but I do think these are also factors into the activity on everyone's closets. And I would say sharing right now is probably a big part of making sales. So you want to make sure you're sharing your closet multiple times a day, probably during times when people are on the app and it's busy. For me, I find this is either morning or evening time. I am open to anyone else's thoughts on this. I would love to know what you guys think. Are your sales back to normal? Do you notice that there's odd activity happening? Personally, this weekend has been so dead on my closet. Likes have been low, shares have been low, everything has been low, and I think that that's unusual. I personally think it's unusual, and that was what triggered me to talk about this again, because I am just feeling super frustrated right now. And I don't sell consistently enough on other platforms. So I guess another question of what I would want to know is, if you sell on other platforms like eBay, Etsy, McCaffrey, things like that, are you noticing these inconsistencies on other apps, or is this just like a Poshmark thing? I don't know. I'm feeling frustrated today. Today is actually Sunday night as I'm recording this, and I'm just feeling what the hell? I listed so many great items this week, and it just doesn't make sense. I calculated my sell-through rate for this week, and it was 30%. I normally sit at 75 to 85% sell-through rate. That's how consistently I sell the items that I'm listing. And it's just so bad. I don't know. I hope it picks up. I think I have a live show scheduled for Thursday, and I might go through with it. I was going to postpone it maybe another week, because I don't really have a ton of items to put on it. But now I'm considering doing it because it feels like when I do a live show, it like boosts my closet and I get a bunch of sales. And now I haven't done a live show in like a week and a half. And is that why I'm not making sales? I don't know. I'm still, and I need to clarify, like I've had one no sale day since I switched to Posh Sidekick. When was it? A week and a half ago, I guess. So yeah, I've only had one day with no sales, but it's just been a lot lower than normal. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I should drop in here if you are looking for a sharing automation tool. Posh Sidekick is app-based and it's magical. It's pretty freaking cool. So I do have a code. If you use the word tabs, TABS, it's my refer code. I get a little kickback, and yeah, I would really appreciate it if you're looking for some new sharing software. I think it has definitely had an impact. I mean, I haven't had the consistent sales that I've been having in the last week and a half in a long time, but it's just not volume, which I think is, yeah, something's going on. Anyways, I'm just gonna go through what I got a list for this week and try and pick all my winter stuff and make sure I'm wrapping that up, because I do still have some winter items that I should probably get listed. And then I'm starting on spring and summer soon, and at least I'll have all the items there when people start looking. Okay, next one is a big one, and we're going to talk about another question that I see often. Like, I can't believe how often this question is actually asked in the Facebook groups and on Reddit. But the common question is, how many active listings do you need to make daily sales or X amount of dollars a month? And that just seems to be what a lot of people are wanting. Like, they want this information. How do you get to that point? What are the factors? And I really like this question because I feel like it's approached the wrong way most of the time. Most people look at this in the sense that you have to have X amount of listings, or you have to list X amount of listings a day. And I'm here to tell you, it actually has more to do with your STR, or your sell-through rate. So your sell-through rate is the percentage of your inventory sold to customers, often calculated monthly. Sell-through rates help show sales trends and how different styles and sizes of the same product fare against each other. And this is according to Shopify. So this was their definition. But basically, it's showing what's the percentage of items that are selling compared to the number of items that you are listing. So to calculate your sell-through rate, you take the number of items you sold in that month or that 30-day period, and you divide it by the number of listings that you have listed in that same period. Once you do that math, you multiply it by 100, and it's going to give you the percentage. Your goal is to increase that. Your goal is to have that as high as possible. A person with an 80% sell-through rate sells 8 out of 10 items they list in a month. Therefore, they don't have to list as many items, right? Because their items are usually in high demand and they're selling quickly. Someone with this 30% sell-through rate sells 3 out of the 10 items they list in a month. So they have to list 3 times the items to make the same amount of sales. Do you see that like correlation? Ideally, what this means is that if you work on anything in 2023, I would say work on increasing your sell-through rate. And I think the biggest tip to do this is market research, knowing what people are looking for, looking up solds in different categories and pricing points, and looking up items when you are sourcing. The more you do this, the better the understanding of what is selling and for how much. Eventually, you will do this less often because you'll have a good idea. I spent a year searching comps on every item in my cart. I shit you not. I truly did. I used to buy everything that gave me a good feeling. When I first started reselling, I just bought everything, and I ended up with lots of stale items and a low ASP. When I started to look items up, I personally used Posh, although you can use Posh or eBay. I saw a change in the sales that I was making. My ASP started to climb. Truthfully, I probably leave like 3/4 of the shopping cart at the thrift store now, where before I would like fill this cart and I literally would buy 3/4 of it, which was so many bad buys. But I wasn't looking items up. I was just looking at it being like, yeah, I think this is cool. Yeah, I think it'll sell. but it doesn't always mean that that's what people are looking for. One of the biggest changes I made was just like looking up solds when I was in the store. These are just my thoughts. I know many people have opposing opinions, but I firmly stand by these. This is what I felt like had a pivotal change in my business. This is where I noticed my business starting to really start climbing. And I know sometimes there's seasoned resellers that are like, I don't check comps, I don't look that up. But you have to also take in consideration that they've sold so many items that they also have that base knowledge. I have sold over 3,500 items in my closet. I have comp searched over 10,000 items. And I find also that if you're going to start paying up for items and, taking more chances on your inventory, you have to make smart purchases, which means looking it up, making sure it's a desirable item. Do you know how old it is? Do you know what colors are the most popular in this style? Do you know what other similar items are selling for? And then you can make that decision. And hopefully you'll have less buying errors. It also means you'll increase your profit and you'll leave less money in inventory. I run a closet of, I don't know, like 375 to 450 active listings at a time. I consistently can make probably, I would say net after platform fees and cost of goods, I can consistently make about 500 to 750 a week. And that's pretty good. Like that's pretty good as a side hustle. And this has come from, like I said, just looking things up, knowing what's selling. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, the quicker you get, and just the more knowledge base you have. So then eventually you're not having to do it on every item. You're just having to look up certain ones. And I still do look up items, but probably only about 25% now. Most items, I have an idea what they'll sell for. I thought I would cover that. So if you have any questions about sell-through rate or how it applies to your business or, what to do, how to make these goals, I think this little blurb right here, if you have to rewind it and re-listen to it, it really has everything to do with that sell-through rate. And once you can start to increase your sell-through rate, you can work on your average sale price. You'll start to notice those sales growing. And then also one more like little magic sauce thing you have to watch for is your profit margin. Obviously having high gross sales, but you're paying 80% of that in cost of goods, that's also not an easy way to make money because you're going to have to sell a lot more items, but you also want to work on that profit margin, getting items for the best price and then getting those items that sell for lots of money. And ideally for me, if I can double my investment, that's good in my books. I mean, sometimes I don't, depending on what the actual profit margin is, but if I'm paying 20, it would be nice for that item to sell for over 60. Okay, next one, MagicScripter update. I get so excited when we talk about this. I haven't had too many items to use it on in the last week. I did have some unique, quirky items, but I had a bunch of like Lululemon Aritzia items that I just used their descriptions for. I'm loving it. I'm loving all the descriptions I'm getting. I want to say, remember, your description is only going to be as good as your titles. Follow those guidelines in the video and make sure you have enough words in your title or the keywords that you're putting in to create the description. And then make sure you're proofreading it. That's the other thing. You got to proofread it before you post it. I have heard of a few like wonky things pop up. So just make sure you're taking a quick read over, add or make any small changes that you have to make. Okay. Do you guys want to know what's coming? Do you guys want to know what's happening? I got some news for you. So by the end of this week, so this should all be happening by the end of this week. 80 characters as requested by you guys. This is going to be both on Android and Apple. They are also finishing up the web-based platform. So if you list on a PC, great news. This is going to be available to you real soon. So make sure you're checking in on it. They are also starting a referral program and I love this. So they're going to be doing a 25% commission on first purchase. So if you refer someone, you're going to get 25% of their first purchase. Plus, the person that you're referring is going to get 20 free credits along with their purchase. That's awesome. It's a win-win. They're also going to be setting up with PayPal that you can do weekly withdrawals if you want. I think that's so cool. I'm totally stoked about this. That is awesome. Like I said, I've been enjoying MagicScripter. It's done wonders for my descriptions, and my brain does not hurt. I love how quick it is. I love being able to list things really quickly. So yeah, I'm sold. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I would love to hear how it's going, what kind of items you're using it on, because you can literally use these on any. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Now that everyone's kind of been using it over the week, I would love to know how it's going. Has it saved you time? Has it come up with some good descriptions that maybe you weren't writing? Just drop them down below and share. Okay. Now, as always, if you have anything to add to this conversation, or you have a question that you want me to address, or something newsworthy for next week, please know you guys can drop it in the comments. You can also shoot me a message on Instagram, whatever works for you or you're comfortable with. But let's get to the fun part. So I have something fun, and I always like to end the video with something lighthearted, something that we can share. Today, I want you guys to shout out something from your business. I want to hear a win. Let's celebrate some wins, because it's been a tough go at 2023, and I think a lot of people are having a tough go. We have to find the little things that we're happy about, or the little successes, and it doesn't have to be a big one. So for me, it was transferring my work with me videos over to podcast format. That was a win for me. It wasn't a huge thing. It didn't take very long, but it was something that I had thought of and that I was procrastinating, and I'm trying to seize the day. I am trying to do the things that I am procrastinating and getting them done, because otherwise they're just looming over me. So yeah, I started up the podcast. If you listen to podcasts, you can search me up either on Spotify, Anchor, and Apple. The podcast channel is Tabs Reseller Chats. So super simple, names in it, easy to search, and I will be uploading the work with me videos into audio format onto the podcast for now. And yeah, I'm excited to see it grow. Okay, so I want to know, what is a win for you? What is something that you feel good about that you accomplished last week? And drop it down in the comments. Okay, guys, I think that's it. It was kind of a quiet week out there. I feel like big things are going to be happening in the next couple weeks. I'm just anticipating Poshmark making some announcements. I know they're coming. I can feel it in my bones, but we just have to wait patiently for them to release things. Other than that, I am going to let you guys go. So I hope you guys have a fabulous week. I am wishing you all many sales, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Your 1099K form is payment card and third-party network transactions is an IRS form used to collect, or is an